Hey everyone, Once Bitten here with another battle report. So for my last game of last weekend, I brought out my Bretonnians and again faced this Goblin Horde army that you've probably seen recently. You can see it's getting painted, and the ones that are painted look really neat. It's such a wonderfully themed list. I was telling my opponent it's a real labor of love because when things go wrong for the Goblin Hordes, they really go wrong. So we play meeting engagement, and I roll for all my units, and all of them start on the board. And he rolls for his units, and he has a horde of his archers, which you see in the top right behind that river. Those are not actually deployed there; those are off the board, as well as his battle standard bearer do not make it first turn. Now the real problem with that is he's sticking with his theme so much that his highest leadership on the board is only a 7. And so he really needs his battle standard bearer with the standard of discipline in with his general so that he's got a leadership 8 reroll bubble. And so rolling so that BSB is off the table, he's only got a leadership 7 bubble, and he doesn't even need the bubble because he's got lower level characters in each of his hordes, and they all have leadership 7. So right off the bat, it kind of goes ill for him. Anyway, he set up first. I came in afterwards. The unit on the left is Knights of the Realm with my battle standard bearer and my level 4 with Lore of Heavens. They've got the unit has the banner of Eternal Flame, and so I purposely put them there to charge the trolls the first turn I could. And in hindsight, we were too far away. There's no reason to think I could get them first turn, and I should have realized that there on the left-hand side is where he would put his Goblin Horde that couldn't deploy before the game. And so anyway, that was what I was thinking, and it just didn't work. I didn't think it through well enough. Anyway, then we've got another Knights of the Realm unit here at the bottom. On the right, I've got a Trebuchet, Men-at-Arms. There's a small Knights Errant unit at the upper right. There we go. Anyway, small Knight Errant unit, and then Pegasus Knights. So I Vanguard up a little bit. I'm really thinking that these Peg Knights, I just need to draw out Fanatics, and then I'll use my Knights Errant to do the same so they don't do me too much harm. So he goes first, and really not a whole lot happens. He moves up a little bit. He does move up close enough to release Fanatics, and only one of them makes it through my unit, does a single wound. So I think this list, he has 3 Fanatics per horde, and I think he really kind of needs those guys to do more than what they've done recently, and this is pretty typical. Only one hits, and it does a wound. Big deal. So we go to Bretonnia turn 1. Oh, when I was reading off my list, I forgot to say I actually have 2 trebuchets, not 1 trebuchet. This is a tournament list I'm tweaking. I don't think I'm going to keep it this way, but as of now, it has 2 trebuchets in it. Anyway, so I move up with my small Knight Errant unit just to draw out Fanatics. Otherwise, I'm taking my time over there. During his turn, his shooting. No, during my turn, I declared a charge against this Goblin Horde that came on board finally, and he did a stand and shoot, and killed one guy, and then I failed my charge. More importantly, when I charged the trolls, the way he placed his unit, it released Fanatics right in the middle of my charge, which I thought was great playing on his part. I just didn't really think about it. And then again, when all was said and done, he wasn't able to land any right where my guys would land on top of him, doing 2d6 wounds. I think he ended up doing, well, you see, he ended up doing 3 wounds, but still. Yeah, there we are. And the reason he did even that many is because I pulled Fanatics from this leftmost unit as well as this General's unit, and that I didn't consider. I didn't think I'd be close enough to do that. So I count 4. That means 2 must have been destroyed, so maybe he did land a couple. I'm not sure. Either way, he killed 3 knights. So I move my Peg Knights up over here. So now all Fanatics are on the board. It cost me 1 Peg Knight and 3 Knights of the Realm. Can't complain too much. A Trebuchet lands and just wreaks havoc on this one unit. And after combat, so this is, for one, it was just funny how things worked out. First of all, 2 trolls vomited on my battle standard bearer and killed him outright. I wasn't thinking that those things ignored armor saves. I just wasn't thinking about it at all. But then with his other 4 trolls, I think I killed one, so he had 3 other attacks coming at me. And with those 3 attacks, he only killed 1 knight. I ended up winning combat. If you see to the left of my unit, there's his battle standard bearer. He's really there. He came on late and was there for the reroll. And even with that, it wasn't enough because their leadership's so low that even if I win combat by 1, it's all it takes. So the unit that came on from the left fled off the board. Any unit that was nearby fled, and then when it fled, it caused another unit to flee because he's on leadership 7 across the board. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could play a Goblin Horde army. I think it would. I think I would throw him with dice. And my opponent was having fun with it, so kudos to him. So you can see the general's unit fled. It fled through the bowman unit, and that unit had to flee away from the closest enemy, which was my peg knight. So it fled that weird way. He's just fleeing all over the board. It's just absolutely crazy. Oh, ugh. So anyway, when all's said and done, that's what the board looks like. So we go to Goblin's turn 2. His units rally, thank goodness. This one, this is the one unit that the only unit he had on the board that hadn't fled. And so this is where it was before his turn, and then he's going to declare a charge against the peg knights. I flee, easily get away. Despite my general's right there, he's leadership 9, and he's in the knight errant unit that has a standard discipline. So he has leadership 10, and even with leadership 10, my small unit knights errant failed their panic test, which I thought was kind of funny. He then redirects into them and wasn't quite able to chase them off the board, but they've got 1 chance to rally, and they're off. Now, of course, he does that before he does compulsory movement. So during compulsory, 2 of these fanatics either move through him or whatever, and I think he landed on a couple. So between the trebuchet, his fanatics have absolutely just rocked this unit. So otherwise, that's what the board looks like. You can see his units that fled before rallied, so at least they're still on the table, but, you know, they're not doing a whole lot for them. So we go to Bretonnian turn 2. His guys are so far away that I can't charge him, so I move my guys up to try to charge him. You notice the knights errant are not at the bottom. My general's leadership 10 with that banner, and they have a musician, so they need an 11. And it could be that 11 or 12 was always a fail. It doesn't matter. They failed and ran off the board. Otherwise, I didn't really like the charges that I had set up. I could have charged my topmost unit against the unit with the bows, but he had stand and shoot, and I'm pretty sure he had poison, and I just didn't want to deal with it. I'd rather just wait. I'm not really that worried about it. I didn't want to get in there and, he had been steadfast and whatever. So I did take that's another reason why. I wanted to get my prophetess out of that topmost unit and protect her better. So that's the reason I didn't charge, because they would have been in there, and if anything wrong happened, I would have lost my prophetess. So instead of charging, I just moved her into this bigger unit. Again, I just moved up, threw some rocks and killed a bunch more of these guys. I almost felt guilty doing it at this point. So to go Goblin turn 3, he doesn't have any good charges. He's really just trying to shore up his battle lines, so it is as you can see it. The one thing he did, he had his battle standard bearer that, remember, it came on late and provided a reroll for the trolls, but they still failed. So he decides to charge the flank of these knights. He figures he's got a charge, a banner, and a flank to my banner and a rank. So he's starting off winning by 1, and there's a decent chance there's not going to be any wounds anywhere, and so he'll win combat by 1. I'll be steadfast on an 8, and there's a chance I'll fail it, which I do. I fail it. I love it. I love this picture. I fail it. I run all the way through my men-at-arms, my general's unit, and I bounce out the other side. I'm all the way across the table. And that guy's on the hill saying, "That's right." Wow. So on my turn, I rally. My general's unit there at the bottom charges his 1 diminished horde. There's a closer picture there. I dual charge this topmost unit. The only thing I don't like about this is my damsel's in there. I never really wanted to take her out, though, because he had all these bowmen on the table. And I just didn't want to take a chance of anybody, getting some pot shots off on her. So I don't like that she's exposed in combat. I was able to get the +1 strength and toughness buff on them, and I was hoping that would save her. She's already starting at 1 wound, I believe, because she miscast getting that Weiss's wild form off. I threw 3 dice at it, and still got a miscast. So after combat, my general's unit easily destroyed that horde. My combined charge easily destroyed that unit. There was 1 horde that was still on the table. It failed its panic, and so it's in front of my unit. So on his turn, at best, he could have rallied him, and I would have dual charged him again, and he didn't have a prayer. So that was the game. It was over on turn 1 when his trolls failed their break test and his whole army panicked. Oi, this Goblin Horde is a wonderfully themed army, but man, when things fall apart, they really fall apart for it. So anyway, that was the game. Hope you enjoyed it.